Three, two, one. So when I went to beauty school, I was 17 years old, and I had moved from the wilderness of Alaska. We lived out remotely on the highway system to Anchorage, where I had a one-bedroom apartment that we picked out right before school, and I was one of the 3 youngest students in the class. And before I left for beauty school, my dad told me, now, Joseph, women don't cuss, and they don't tell dirty jokes, and they don't this, and they don't that, and he gave me this big speech. And so I'm all ready for beauty school, I'm on my best behavior, and I go in for my first day of school, and at lunchtime, all the girls talked about was who they had sex with the night before, their periods, and told dirty jokes. And I was so overwhelmed that I cried. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is nothing like what anybody said it was going to be like. And they were talking about, on that day, which I've never forgotten for this reason, was they were talking about having crazy, passionate animal sex with their partner. And I was like, oh my God, I can't even believe they're having these conversations. My mom didn't allow that stuff to happen in the bar during the daylight when us kids were around. So I wasn't really exposed to it a lot. So to have any of it going on was a little bit of a shock. But not that I couldn't handle it, it was just a shock. And there was a lady there that at the time, everybody thought she was older and was really old because she was in her 60s. Now 60s is 10 years away from me, and I'm like, yeah, she wasn't old at all. But anyway, Barb was amazing. And the girls were like, what about you, Barb? Do you have wild, passionate animal sex? And she turned to them and said, those of us that have it, don't brag about it. And I knew that she was going to be a dear friend from there on. So that was my first day of beauty school. I went home and I was like, okay, is this something I want to do? Because this was nothing like what they said. Well, as beauty school progressed, there was a group of us that did really well, and there was other guys that were in my class that one drank too much and one was dealing with his sexuality, and they both dropped out. And then there were some other girls that had problems like single parenting and drug addiction and stuff like that, so they dropped out. But there was a core group of us that fought our way through it. And what was interesting was there were these moments where we would be busy on weekends, and we could do 22 people at a time haircutting, or we could do 10 perms in a day. Like, that was the normal. And so when we came out, we had all this hands-on experience when we were finished with school. But during school, I remember a couple of things. I remember everybody cussed, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so strange. And then everybody would go outside and smoke, or they had a smoking room at the time when you could smoke indoors, and which was horrible. And so I wouldn't participate in that. But there's a few stories that stand out. Like, there was one time where a lady came in and got a trend haircut, and her husband drug her back in, literally by the arm, or later in the day, and cussed out the front desk people on who the hell was it that gave my wife this horrible haircut, blah, blah, blah. And the wife's like, I love my haircut. She's crying. And that was my first experience with abusive husbands in a relationship outside of a bar situation. And so I was like, holy shit, this guy is an asshole. And so he is like cussing everybody out, threatening the people, and the owner of the school's husband asked him to leave. And he took a swipe at him and went to punch him. And next thing you know, the owner of the school at the time, or they owned the school at the time, they don't own it anymore. Anyway, he's got him outside on the hood of the car, punching him in the face over a haircut. Oh my God, I thought, wow, we've got a lot of power if people can fight over their haircut. That's a lot. And then another time, we had to do back when I was in beauty school, we had to do facials and manicures and pedicures, but not a lot of them, to get our hairdresser's license in the state of Alaska, which has since changed. Now there's an esthetician's license and a nail license and a hair license. So, but back then it was only one license. And it was for hairdressing. It wasn't a cosmetology license. So this guy came in and he had full-blown AIDS. Now you gotta remember it's the 80s, and AIDS is killing everybody right and left. And he is coming in to get his nails done, and they handed the ticket to one of the ladies, and she was in her 30s, and she blew up. She was like, I am not doing this guy's nails. He's got AIDS, and I could get AIDS, and we don't understand how it works, and it's killing people right and left. And she went off, and the owner of the school pulled her out the back door and had words with her and explained to her that she couldn't just discriminate solely on the fact that this person had AIDS. Well, this other lady who was much more mature and in her early 50s and what happened to be Filipino and was very religious said, I will take the ticket. And she's very soft-spoken, Benita. And Benita went out, put on gloves, took this gentleman in, talked to him, prayed with him, did all this stuff with him, and finished his manicure perfectly and didn't cut him or nothing, and was treating him like the best of human beings. And I never forgot that experience where she was being an asshole and the other lady took over and was being an angel. So from asshole to angel, it was amazing. And then competitions were big in school, and we had to study, and I didn't want to compete. And I got roped into competing. I was told I was going to do it instead of asked. And so I did it, and I won awards. So technically, I'm an award-winning hairdresser. And all of that was from being 17, turning 18 in beauty school. But my fondest memory of beauty school is my instructor, Barbara, who I would work with her on the days the school was closed, and I would shampoo for her, sweep hair for her, and drop perm rods. And her clients would tip me, and I could make like $25 or $50. And in 1988, when I was in beauty school, that was a lot of money. And now it's nothing. And it's not even a Happy Meal. But anyway, so I would go and help Barbara, and I would learn things. So when I came out of beauty school, I had all of this knowledge that you really don't get anywhere else or any other way. And it was hard. Like, we partied. I learned to party. We had big events that we went to. We had big hair shows that used to happen here in Anchorage all the time. And all kinds of exciting things. And I really thought sky was the limit. And I learned sky isn't the limit. The universe is vast and huge. And so beauty school really taught me a lot of things at a young age. And I had a lot of fun with the coworkers and fellow students and the clients that came in and all of that at 17.